Yeah, this is Mount Vernon Kid coming to you again with the opinion spot. I got two guests with me today. Some two guys that I consider brothers, and I'm gonna spit. One's from the Sunshine State, so spit your name, bro.
What's up, guys? Deadpoolzilla back again on Mount Vernon Kids channel. What's up?
And I got one. The other one is from the Windy City, so say your name.
Hey, what's up, guys? Me, Zipblockgory. Good to be here on here.
All right, so what we're here to do, guys, is continue what I continued last time with what makes a good villain. Here's the sequel. What makes a good hero? And I decided to start off by saying it doesn't matter whether it's story, whether it's origin, personality. We all like a good hero, and we want to get to know that hero. So, T, what makes a good hero in your opinion?
Well, for me, it's several reasons. One is like someone who rises above a great tragedy, and turns it back on the guys who did it to them. Like, let's say Batman or Punisher. Someone who took a negative and turned it into a positive.
Okay. What about you, Victor?
For me, what makes a good hero if he has certain goals in mind. What does he want to do for the world and the people around him, and if he's persistent in doing that. So, that's just basically what makes a good hero to me.
Okay. So we got it down to personality right here so far, guys. What about origins? In terms of origins, there are a lot of heroes in comics and just TV wise that have slightly great origins that you can understand why the hero is the way he is. For example, uh, let's take Batman for example. Bruce, why he is the Dark Knight, but he won't cross that path of killing is because, in a sense, what he saw what happened to his parents at a young age. Now, personally, at that young of age, he was only about 8 years old. He should have seriously psychological problems, uh, but he rose against that, as T and Victor said. He rose against that and decided to take the law. I wouldn't say take the law into his own hand because he's not killing people, but he's putting that fear that the criminal element have. So and as well as that, does the origin play as well into it? Let's start with you, T.
Origin play, it's a lot of things like I said before, but there's other origins I like. Like let's take for instance, Doctor Strange.
All right, yeah.
He was a pompous, arrogant surgeon, and then when at that accident he lost everything, and then he found the Ancient One. He became Sorcerer Supreme. He got a wake up call basically.
And to me, guys, he will always be the Sorcerer Supreme. Uh, I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah.
What about you, Victor? Any origins that really hold strong with you?
Well, there's a lot I can mention, but definitely, as far as origins, I think a lot of characters, like superheroes, the big ones, Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, they really called to me because of how they came to be. A lot of them, they had tragic past with their parents, or Superman lost his planet, Batman lost his parents, and Peter Parker, lost Uncle Ben, and stuff like that. It just really depends on how their past impacts them now. So that's my thoughts on it.
Okay. But you also take into counter. Let's talk about some anti-heroes. They're still heroes, but they have taken a different route than your traditional hero. Prime example, I think we all can agree on is the Punisher. Now, personally, with me, guys, I for one am against rape and child molestation and things like that. Frank sees that as you don't get a second chance of that. I'm gonna kill you to put you out of the misery and so the world don't have to deal with you. Now, when we see that, here's a man that was military trained. He was all pretty much all stars and stripes. He was a military. He was a Marine, and he wanted to take his family out for a nice day. And what happens? They witness something they shouldn't have witnessed, and he survives it, but his family dies. So he decides to take it into his hands to punish those who prey on innocent people like his family. And then there are a lot of heroes that don't agree with that. They feel that, Frank, you're taking this too far. You crossed the line. But the odd thing is, like, a lot of them, team up with him. So it's kind of weird in a sense. So how do you guys feel about that? I'll start with you, Victor, this time.
You know what? With a character like the Punisher, I like the Punisher Max series, and the thing is that with Frank, there's some things he does that I don't agree with. Like, there was one issue in Punisher Max where this family was forcing their children to be in a adult movie, and Frank came in and just killed the parents, and he walked out and made sure the kids didn't see it. But was that the right thing to do? Maybe the parents could have changed. Who knows? You got characters like, Jason Todd now, who's pretty much kind of like the Punisher, and he kind of feels that Bruce needs to put a guy like the Joker away. And I've always wanted to know how they would deal with the Joker ultimately, because the guy keeps getting back in Arkham Asylum. He's clearly pretending to be insane if he says he's insane, and they keep letting him get away. So that's my thoughts on it.
Okay, all right. And you, T?
Pretty much like Victor's. I gotta agree with that. We should also take into account of, Wolverine. That guy, if you thought Punisher's life was bad, Wolverine's he's practically immortal.
True. Yeah, Wolvie's had a very tragic life, from the day he was born. So most definitely you can't. Here's another hero that is on a team like the X-Men or the Avengers or 5 or 6 teams this guy's on, but he rolls with these heroes even though they know, okay, he is in some sense a killer. But here's a guy that is a samurai. He does walk that path of Bushido, and he knows that no matter what, the X-Men will be by his side because he's found a family with the X-Men. And even though his bloodline family don't really like him, but he has a family, and just like Tyler said, guys, Wolverine has had a very tragic life as well, but he still stays that true path of a hero, even though, yeah, he will kill you if he has to, But I think what we're trying to say is that there's no kind of sense of, what makes the real ultimate hero. I mean, you could have a hero that doesn't cross that path, like Batman or Spider-Man and people like that. And just like how many of the villains, like Victor just said, the Joker, Batman will put this guy in Arkham. He gets out. Batman puts him back in. So, and in Jason Todd's case, he's basically saying, why don't you kill this guy? Out of all the other rogue gallery you had, Bruce, why him? And I say that because in, excuse me, the Red Hood motion picture, they used that line. He had Joker, and he said that Harvey Dent, everybody else, why this guy? This guy you keep alive when you know he's gonna hurt somebody, and Bruce predominantly said, if I cross that path, there's no going back. And that's another thing I want to say. Is that true, guys? Do you feel that if a hero crosses that path, that line, in terms of somebody like Spider-Man and people like that, do you think they're more likely to do it again? So how you let me start with you, T, on that one.
Well, talking points. Let's keep that in mind. Like perfect examples, like you said, Spider-Man. Remember when Aunt May got shot?
Oh yeah.
Peter went ballistic.
Right.
And he did nothing but hunt that guy who shot him and nearly beat that guy to death. And then he took it to Fisk.
Exactly. So yeah, there's a prime example. I mean, for all those that don't know, Spider-Man pulls his punches day to day. He does not use his full strength. And in that Back to Black story arc, we've seen why he pulls his punches, because he was nearly killing people. Let me use this analogy for you guys. Imagine a watermelon, and Peter's fist is a sledgehammer. Now, what happens when that sledgehammer hits that watermelon? It's going to explode. And that's exactly kind of and I'm sorry to use that analogy, but it's true, So let me go to Victor on this one. In that sense, do you feel that if a hero crosses that line of taking out his enemies, is it more likely that they'll do it again?
You know what? I think it's important to show that heroes can make mistakes, because even the most noble of heroes are thinking. Like, even a guy like Superman, who's very noble, and he's got these very good values and things. He's thinking like, what? I would love to crush Lex's head in, but I can't do that. Do I think if heroes kill, they would do it again? It all depends, because I don't think a lot of people know this, but Iron Man has killed before.
Right.
In extremis, Hal Jordan has slipped up with the parallax stain, even though that really was just more of a possession. But the Guardians have now given the Lancers permission to kill.
Exactly. Yes.
They're more like police officers.
Exactly.
I think Wally West, he didn't actually kill somebody, but he puts one of the bad guys. He put them in a type of time frame where they're pretty much just going to be living life in this very, very, very slow motion. So it all depends really on the character and the writer.
T, you got something to say?
Yeah, like Victor said about Superman and all that. We saw when Jonathan Kent died in the Superman books. There was nothing more than Clark wanted to do than just fly into the prison and beat Brainiac to death.
True.
You saw, he had it all planned out in his head.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, like my two brothers are saying, people, even heroes have a breaking point. They do, but it's also determining how they are raised. See, and that's another thing. Let's talk about. Many heroes were raised by good people. Peter and Clark, they were raised by good, loving individuals that took them in. In the Kents, for example, took Clark Kal-El in. I'm using his Kryptonian name, people. Took Kal-El in and raised him as their own, and look how he turned out to be. Peter Parker never knew his parents. His parents were dead. They were spies, and they died. And his aunt and uncle raised him. You can say Alfred. Alfred raised Bruce Wayne. And that's really funny to see that a butler raised a child, and look how Bruce turned out, So it does have another form of, like we're saying, being raised, because there's some heroes that came from an abusive family. Steve Rogers, his father was very abusive, but look how he turned out.
Yeah. Hey, if you want to go down that road, Chris, I hate to cut you off, but this brought to my mind Prince Zuko from Avatar.
Yeah. See, so we're not just talking about heroes in comics. It goes far beyond comics as well, people. I think Victor had something to say. So go ahead, V.
Getting on Alfred, the funny thing about Alfred is the guy served in the military, and I forget the issue, but someone broke into the Batcave, and Alfred said, "I'm not Batman. I don't have the same qualms. I will blow your head off." And I'm like, that's interesting, because Alfred doesn't have a problem with killing, but he's raised Bruce in a way, and so you don't have to be what I am. I served in the military. You don't have to do what I do. And I think that's very interesting. It just shows that he's trying to teach Bruce to have self-control, because Bruce could easily become a character like the Punisher.